Your fridge is the worst place to store food long term, and your freezer is one thunderstorm away from a $600 pile of thawed meat. Your great-grandfather knew this. He kept 40 pounds of potatoes, 80 pounds of carrots, 3 bushels of apples, and a winter's worth of onions and cabbage, in perfect condition for 8 months a year, and he never paid a single dollar for electricity to do it. He had a hole in the ground. That is all. A hole engineered by physics, not by General Electric. And you can build the same hole in a weekend for less than the cost of one bad grocery run. Under $300, 0 power, 8 months of stored food sitting in the dark, waiting on you. By the end of the next few minutes, you will have the exact blueprint, the site, the dimensions, the materials list, priced out to the dollar, the 2-pipe ventilation trick that does the work of a compressor without an amp of electricity, the humidity control that keeps carrots crisp in April, and the packing method that stretches a fall harvest into the following June. You will walk away knowing how to build a root cellar that quietly, invisibly replaces the top shelf of your grocery budget. No permits in most rural places, no power bill, just cold earth, moving air, and food that lasts. Right now, the average American household throws away roughly a third of the food it buys. USDA numbers. That works out to well over $1,500 a year, straight into the trash bin. Most of it produced that spoiled before you could eat it. And the fridge you rely on to slow that rot? It is a 1930s technology running on a grid that logged over 300 major outage events in this country last year alone, according to Department of Energy tracking. Every one of those outages is a countdown on your freezer, 24 hours if you are lucky. I have seen homesteaders lose an entire hog in one August storm. Meanwhile, grocery prices are up more than 25% since 2020, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you are paying more for food, throwing more of it away, and trusting a machine and a grid you do not control to protect what is left. That is not resilience. That is a very expensive gamble. This is not your fault. Nobody handed you a manual. Somewhere between your great-grandmother's generation and yours, the entire skill of long-term cold storage got quietly buried under the sales pitch for a bigger fridge. The industry that profits from spoiled food is the same industry that sells you the machine that spoils it slower. They are not in the business of teaching you 8 months of independence. 8 months of independence is the exact opposite of their business model. A pantry that runs on physics does not need a warranty. It does not break down. It does not get repossessed. Most of all, it does not need you at the store every 10 days topping off what already went bad. The knowledge did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it stopped being profitable. Root cellars are older than the United States. When the first Dutch farmers dug into the hillsides of the Hudson Valley in the 1600s, the first thing they built was not a house, it was a hole. New England farmsteads through the 1800s had one under every kitchen or dug into a bank behind the barn. The USDA published a full pamphlet on home root cellars in 1918, Farmer's Bulletin 1145, and reprinted it right through the Second World War, when the government asked every family to grow and store their own food. In 1945, working root cellars were still standard on the vast majority of American farms. By 1980, almost none. Not because the design failed, because the freezer showroom won. The Amish never got that memo. Their communities still store the entire winter's produce underground the same way, using the same specifications, on farms feeding families of 10 without a single kilowatt. If you are serious about pulling 8 months of food off your grocery bill, subscribe and hit the bell, because what is coming next is the exact site, the exact materials, and the exact numbers that make this whole thing work. Item 1. Pick the right ground. Item 1. Pick the right ground. This is the free decision that makes or breaks the entire project. You are looking for 3 things, in this order: a north-facing slope, high ground above the water table, and well-drained soil. That north-facing slope matters because it never gets direct summer sun, which means the ground behind it stays roughly 10 to 15 degrees cooler through July and August. The USDA measures average subsoil temperatures between 50 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 feet down, across most of the country, and on a shaded north slope, that number holds even in a heat wave. That is your free refrigeration. Second, get above the water table. Walk your property in early spring right after the snow melts. Any spot where the boots sink is a spot you do not want 100 pounds of potatoes underneath. If you have no natural slope, pick the highest dry ground you have and plan for a mounded, berm design instead of dug in. Third, the soil itself. Sandy loam is a gift. Heavy clay you can work with, but you will need drainage tile. And swampy peat you walk away from. That is a mud pit waiting to eat your vegetables. One last thing. Keep it inside 80 feet of the kitchen door, or by January, you will not go get the potatoes. Ask me how I know. Nail this one decision, and item 2, digging, becomes the easiest weekend you have ever spent with a shovel. Item 2, dig the right hole. Item 2, dig the right hole. Depth is not optional here. It is the whole physics of the design. You need the ceiling of your cellar to sit below the frost line for your region. In northern states like Michigan, Minnesota, and Maine, that means digging down 48 to 60 inches. In the mid-Atlantic and Central Plains, 30 to 36 inches. In the Deep South, 18 to 24 is plenty. Local building code prints the exact number, and your county extension office will hand it to you in one phone call. Dimensions. For a family of 4 eating out of it, you want an interior floor space of about 8 by 8 feet, with a ceiling height of 6.5. That is 64 square feet, and it will hold roughly 1,000 pounds of stored produce comfortably. If you can only carve out 6 by 6, you still get around 600 pounds. Plenty for 2 people and a very grateful neighbor. Rectangular is easier to build and easier to shelve, but arched ceilings shed condensation, drips off to the sides instead of onto your cabbages. If you are working with a hillside, dig into the slope so 3 walls are earth and 1 is your access door. That single design choice cuts your material cost in half. Pile the excavated dirt uphill and downwind, because you are going to reuse every shovelful in item 5. Now for the fun part, how you actually build the shell for under $300. Item 3, build the shell for cheap. Item 3, build the shell for cheap. 3 routes get you under $300, and I have tried all 3. Route 1, the buried IBC tote. A 275-gallon food-grade tote off the local classifieds runs $75 to $120. And once you cut a door in the top and bury it up to the neck, you have got roughly 35 cubic feet of instantly waterproof, rodent-proof, humidity-holding cellar. Great starter build for a single person or a couple. Route 2, the buried chest freezer. A dead chest freezer is often free on the curb. It is already insulated, sealed, and shaped exactly how a cellar wants to be. Bury it lid up, cut a vent, done. Route 3, my favorite, and the one that hits the full family of 4 spec, the pallet-and-block build. 14 used pallets at $0 to $5 each. 160 concrete blocks at $2.40 each from the local yard. A bag of construction adhesive, and a solid core exterior door someone hauled to the dump. Total materials, right around $270. You are stacking the blocks 2 courses deep against the earth walls for thermal mass, using the pallets as the ceiling structure under a layer of scrap lumber and heavy plastic sheeting, then burying the whole thing under 18 inches of the same dirt you dug out. That earth cap is your insulation. It is also completely free. But even the best shell fails without the one system nobody talks about, the 2 little pipes that keep everything alive. Item 4, the 2-pipe ventilation system. Item 4, the 2-pipe passive ventilation system. This is the whole trick, and it costs about $30 in PVC. 2 4-inch pipes, 1 intake, 1 exhaust. Here is the physics. Cold air is heavier than warm air, so the intake pipe runs from outside, down through the wall, and terminates about 6 inches off the floor inside the cellar. That is where the cool night air pools. The exhaust pipe does the opposite. It starts at the ceiling of your cellar and runs straight up and out through the roof, with the outside opening at least a foot higher than the intake. Warm, damp air rises. It leaves through the exhaust. Fresh, cold air pulls in through the intake to replace it. That is the entire mechanism. No fan. No power, just the stack effect that has been ventilating barns and cellars for 400 years. Cover both openings with quarter-inch hardware cloth to keep out mice and yellow jackets. Install simple sliding dampers on both pipes so you can throttle airflow in the deep winter. Otherwise, you will freeze your carrots by February. A well-tuned two-pipe system exchanges the air inside your cellar roughly every 4 to 6 hours in normal weather, carrying ethylene gas from the apples out of your potatoes and stopping the mold that ruins everything. Get this wrong, and no shell in the world saves you. Get it right, and the next problem, holding on to the cold and the humidity, becomes almost automatic. Item 5. Lock in the cold and the damp. Item 5. Lock in the cold and the damp. A root cellar wants to sit between 32 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit with 85 to 95% humidity. Most root crops will hold 8 months at that spec. Miss the humidity, and your carrots turn into rubber pencils by March. 3 cheap tools do the whole job. First, earth berming. Pile all the dirt you dug out back on top of the roof and against the exposed wall, at least a foot deep, and plant grass or clover on it. That living berm insulates better than any foam board you could buy and costs $0 because it is the same dirt from item 2. Second, a sand or gravel floor. Not concrete. Concrete slabs sweat, and worse, they cannot release the humidity that keeps your produce alive. 4 inches of coarse sand, or pea gravel, over the raw earth acts as both drainage and a humidity reservoir. When it gets too dry inside, you splash a bucket of water on it. Done. Third, a shallow pan of water inside during the driest months, usually January and February, and a $9 hygrometer on the wall so you can read the room. In summer, you keep the door shut during the day and cracked open only after midnight when outside temperatures drop below the cellar's spokes. That is how you reset the whole space back to storage temperature before the next hot afternoon rolls in. The shell is right, the air is moving, the temperature is dialed. The last thing that decides whether you eat in April or you compost in April is how you load the room. Item 6. Load it like a farmer. Item 6. Load it like a farmer. Every crop has a specific zone in the cellar. Get this wrong, and your onions ruin your apples, and your apples ripen your potatoes, and you lose the whole harvest in 6 weeks. Zone by zone. Top shelf, the warmest and driest spot, roughly 50 to 55 degrees at low humidity. This is where winter squash and pumpkins go. Butternut and Hubbard will hold 5 to 6 months up there if they were cured properly first. Middle shelves, cool and moderately dry. Onions, garlic, and shallots, braided or in mesh bags with airflow on all sides. 6 to 8 months if the necks were dried down for 2 weeks before storage. Lower shelves, cold and damp. Potato and apple country, but you keep them on opposite sides of the room because apples give off ethylene gas that sprouts potatoes overnight. Floor level, in wooden crates layered with damp sand or sawdust. Carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, rutabagas. Buried in sand, carrots stay crisp for 6 months easy. I have pulled them out in May, looking like I dug them the week before. Cabbages hang from the ceiling by the roots, wrapped in newspaper. Weird trick, works every time. Once a week you walk in with a flashlight and pull anything softening. One bad apple really does spoil the barrel. That is not a metaphor. That is chemistry. Rotate what you eat oldest first. Do all that, and one fall harvest quietly feeds you until the June garden takes over. I did not start out believing any of this. When we first bought our place, my wife asked about building a root cellar, and I told her, dead serious, that we already owned a fridge and a freezer, so what exactly was the point? I was going to be the modern homesteader. Chest freezer in the garage, second one in the basement. Life was going to be easy. Then, in year 2, on a Tuesday afternoon in August, a squirrel did something unforgivable to the transformer at the end of our road, and the power stayed out for 31 hours. I lost roughly $340 of vegetables, meat, and berries. Every single thing I had put up that summer. I stood in front of that dripping freezer holding a leaky bag of green beans, feeling like the biggest idiot in the county. That winter, I dug the hole. 2 weekends and one very tired back. Materials came in at $271, and I still have the receipt taped inside the door. First fall, I loaded it with 4 bushels of apples, 90 pounds of potatoes, 60 pounds of carrots in sand, 30 pounds of onions, and every squash we grew. In April, I opened a crate of carrots that looked like I had pulled them the week before. That was the moment I understood what my great-grandfather already knew. The fridge is a tool, but the cellar is a system. One runs on money you have to keep sending out. The other runs on physics you build once and never pay again. That is when I became a convert. Let me save you from the mistakes that wreck most people's builds. Mistake 1. Skipping the drainage test. Every year I hear from someone who dug a beautiful cellar in October and watched it fill with 3 inches of water in March. Fix is simple. Before you dig, auger a 2-foot test hole and pour in 5 gallons of water. If it is still standing there the next morning, you have found your water table. Move up the hill or build above ground with a berm. Mistake 2. Using pressure-treated lumber inside. The chemicals that stop the rot also off-gas into your food. Use untreated cedar, oak, or plain scrap pine. Wood will eventually rot down there, and that is fine. You replace shelves every 5 to 7 years. It is a $15 problem. Mistake 3. 1 vent instead of 2. I see this constantly. Somebody watches half a video, cuts 1 hole, and cannot figure out why the cellar smells like a swamp by January. 1 pipe cannot both bring air in and let air out at the same time. You need 2, sized right, positioned right. This is a physics problem, not a preference. Mistake 4. Forgetting the door seal and the light trap. Any gap around the door lets in the exact warm summer air you spent months excluding. Weather strip it like an exterior door, and add a second interior door or a heavy insulated curtain a foot inside the first. That double-door dead air space stops the summer heat from marching straight through. Light also spoils potatoes, greening them and turning them mildly toxic. So no windows, no gaps, and use a headlamp when you visit. Picture your place 18 months from now. It is late April. Grocery prices have done whatever they are going to do that spring, and you have not noticed, because you have not been to the store for produce since October. You walk out the back door in your slippers, past the garden that is just now waking up, and lift the cellar hatch. The air rolls up at you cool and earthy, and it smells like apples and clean dirt and the faintest hint of onion. You reach into a crate of sand and pull out 4 carrots that look like the day they came out of the ground, 2 potatoes from the bin, a quart of last year's applesauce off the shelf, an onion from the mesh bag hanging by the door. That is dinner, and it cost you nothing. Your neighbor is standing in a grocery line paying $6 for a bag of soft carrots trucked in from Mexico. You are climbing back up the cellar steps with an armload of your own food. Your freezer never blinked because you barely needed it. Your grocery bill did not go up this year. It went down. Your food bill is smaller not because you are eating less. It is smaller because you own the pantry. You built the pantry, and the pantry runs itself. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what is the #1 crop you would want stored for 8 months? Potatoes? Apples? Onions? Something else entirely? I read every single comment, and I answer as many as I can, and knowing what you want to store will tell me exactly which follow-up videos to build next. Drop it below. Next video, we walk out to the garden, and I show you the exact 7 crops to plant in order to fill this cellar, top to bottom, with the planting dates and the yield per square foot numbers that make the math work. If you skip that one, you will build the cellar and have nothing to put in it. Trust me, watch it. Until then, your grocery bill is a choice. Your independence is not a fantasy. It is a hole in the ground and a weekend of your time. Get after it.